exponents, and we need to go over radical form versus rational exponent form. What is a rational number? Does anyone know what the rational numbers are?
Basically, all numbers that are real numbers, that are, that, like, say, pi wouldn't be a rational number.
Right, pi would not be rational, it's irrational. Okay, so, like pi and the square root of 3, those numbers would be rational, they're irrational. Rational numbers, every single rational number can be written as a fraction. Is basically, so if I had 0.333 repeating, that would be a rational number because I can write it as 1/3. So if I have something and it is, you have your base and then you have your exponent, and there would be rational exponent form because the exponent is a rational number. You need to know how to change that into what's called radical form. So you guys are used to calling this the square root, but it's actually, it's only a square root if you're taking the square root, but if you're taking like a cube root or a fourth root, it's not a square root, it's actually called a radical. So the name for that symbol right there is a radical. So this would be the same thing. This would be those two are equivalent. So the biggest one that you're going to see is going to be the square root. The square root, if I see the square root of 4, it doesn't have anything inside the radical. Kind of like if you just see a plain x, you know it's x to the first power. If you see a square root and there's not anything right here, and this right here is called the index of the radical. The index on a square root is 2. So those two mean the same thing. So anytime you see square root, it has an index of 2, you just don't see it. You just don't have to write it. What would this be in rational exponent form? 4 to what power?
Is it 1/2?
Because this is 4 to the first. So this is 1/2. So that is probably the biggest thing to remember about rational exponents. If you ever see something to the 1/2 power, you're always like, what does that mean? It just means square root. So 4 to the 1/2 square root. And we know that that equals, what is the square root of 4?
2.
2. This, I never thought of this till now, I mean I have, but one thing, if this is a power, what if I change that? What if I had, what is 4 a power of? You know, like what, is it like 1 to the 4th, 2 to the 4th, 2 squared? Like 4 is the same as 2 squared. So what happens when I change this to rational exponent form? It would be 2 to what power? Yeah, it's 2 divided by 2, right? It would be that one divided by that one. It's always,
So it's just 2.
it's just 2. So remember, if it's hard to remember, but the index is always the one that goes on the bottom. Just remember the index is on the bottom. I want you guys to take just a second, and I want you to look at your homework. And I want you to get your sheet you're going to do it on. Do some of these. 1 through 6. Do some of those. Be careful if you have, if I have like a negative 4 to the 1/2. that would be the square root of -4. But if I have like a negative and then I have 4 to the 1/2, this 1/2 only goes with the 4. So this negative, if it's ever has an exponent, the negative is separate from the exponent. So the negative would be here, and then it would be like that. So the negatives are separate, they're out front. The only thing the exponent goes to is the number that's right next to it, but it would have to be, so this exponent goes to this whole thing that's in parentheses, this exponent only goes to this part right here. So if there's a negative, it's just out front. What did I read before? So you look at the index, it will always have it, if it's not written there, then you know it's a square root, but if it is something different than a square root, you'll see a 3. And then so you'll see the 3, and you know you have your, there's a 3. So if I see a 4, and I'm just doing ones that I can do faster than hand. So say I see a 4, I know I'm looking for groups of 4 to be able to take it out. So this one is 2 times 81, 9 times 9, 3 times 3. So in order to take something out, if it's a 4th root, you have to have 4 numbers times together to equal it. So this one would just be 3 4th root of 2. I gotta make sure I wrote this one right. Oh, see right here, this, I messed up. This one, make sure when you pull out the 3 and then you have the 2 left over, it is still a cube root, so you need to make sure you leave that a cube root in there.
That's what
Yeah. Yep. So this one is a 4th root, so the 2 is still under the 4th root. Yeah.
So what if there's a number that doesn't have, like it doesn't factor out to 4?
So yeah, so say I had a 4th root and I had 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 2, nothing would come out. You just leave it all underneath there.
So it's just 3 times 3.
Whatever 27 times 4 is. Yeah. Okay, the other thing we're doing was we're going to do fraction exponents. So you guys have to remember some of the rules of exponents. Like if I have x squared times x cubed, what do you do with the exponents? 2 plus 3, so I get 5. If I have fractions and I have, and I'm going to do, well, I'll do one with other common denominator. 1/2 times x to the 1/3. The same rules follow for rational exponents. You add them. So you'll just have to get common denominators. Same rules, just fractions. This one's easier to make sense of because I can think of it. This one you just kind of have to remember what the rule is. And then what's the rule when you have that? What do you do with the exponents? Okay, so if you have fractions, if I have x, if I have this, then I'm going to subtract them. I'm going to have 3 over 6 minus 2 over 6. So you just have to do the same rules. And then what is the rule? Here, let me have this show you guys. If you have this, what's the rule? Do you remember? Because this means x squared times itself 3 times. That's what that means, right? So there's, 2, 4, 6, and 1. So you got to remember this means multiply. So if I have x to the 2/3 raised to the 1/5, I just have to multiply those fractions. And then how do you multiply fractions? Multiply the top, multiply the bottom. To put it in radical form. So this would be the same thing as what? Where does the 2 and the 3 go?
2
root of 8 squared. So you have your choice. You can either take the cube root or you can square it first. It doesn't matter the order. I like to take the roots first because then you get smaller numbers. So it's the same as this one, the cube root of 8 squared. And what's the cube root of 8? Right? 2 times 2 times 2?
2.
So this would be the same as 2 squared. So on those, I want you to try to see if you can do them without just plugging it in the calculator on 14 through 17. So, 64, you're going to take the square root and cube it. Okay? So see if you can do those without a calculator. And then you guys I want you to do all of them tonight. I want you to do 1 through